Hello you demons and happy Friday. Man, it has been a hot minute since we've done one of these sit-down videos, but today I'm going to introduce to you one of the most interesting people in the paranormal society, known as Harry Price. From talking to mongoose and ghosts alike to joining secret societies of magic, Harry Price was no stranger to the paranormal or supernatural. Born in London in 1881, Harry Price went to an all-boys school where he founded the Drama Society at his high school. His interest for theatrics only foreshadowed his involvement with up-close conjuring and magic. Between the years of 1920 and 1922, Price became involved with two very interesting groups, the Magic Circle and the Society of Physical Research. I'll start with the Magic Circle because it's one of the more interesting groups. Also, with a motto like Indocilis Privata Loqui, which means no apt to disclose, sounds pretty freaking cool. I'm also pretty sure it's a callback to the whole saying of a magician never reveals their secrets. But I will say, for a society surrounding, magic tricks and conjuring, they have some pretty steep requirements. Members are required to first be an assistant for 2 years, then know 2 current members for at least a year. These 2 members can then act as their sponsors to the upcoming magician. The magician in training must then practice a routine to perform in front of a board of magicians. A select few can progress to an associate of the Inner Magic Circle, or AIMC. Only 300 known members are able to exist at once. Other benefits include an HQ in central London with amenities such as a museum, theater, dining room, and much more, but I digress. Price was listed as an expert amateur magician, which I know sounds kind of contradictive, but that's just how they had him listed. But I think that these requirements and his title go to show that he is no stranger to up-close tricks and just conjuring in general. Magic. These skills that he learned from the Magic Circle proved to be especially useful for his work in the Society of Physical Research. This organization describes itself as the first society to conduct organized scholarly research into human experiences that challenge contemporary scientific models. Now I know that kind of sounds like a lot, but in normal terms it just means pseudoscience, or like trying to use technology to prove the existence of something that is extraordinary or paranormal. In this new society Price had joined, they focused on studying paranormal or supernatural occurrences and either debunking or confirming their existence. Think sorta early 1900s Mythbusters meet ghost hunters. It's during this time in 1922 that Price begins to gain a more popular reputation as a paranormal investigator, and after you hear about some of the cases he worked on, you'll see why his work had gained so much interest. So now that we've gotten a background of Price and all of his expertise, let's get into some of these insane cases that he had to work on. In 1962, a case of possession by the devil himself came to Price's attention. A woman known as Eleanor Zugan was said to have scratches appear on her body seemingly out of nowhere. Objects around her were also said to be thrown across the room. The parapsychologist Grunwald removed her from the asylum that she was in at the moment and transferred her to a monastery for further observation. The parapsychologist was able to publish a short statement verifying that her possession was indeed real. However, before being able to publish it himself, he passed due to a heart attack. Price himself, though, even confirmed the supernatural events to have occurred without any intervention from Eleanor. Price is quoted as saying, "At 5:43, when I had my eyes fixed on both the girl and the countess, a steel stiletto with handle about 10 inches long, used for opening letters, shot across the room from behind me and fell the long-suffering door already mentioned. I instantly turned around, but there was nothing there. If I had been standing a little further to the right, the stiletto must have struck me. I'm positively convinced that Eleanor was not normally responsible for the flight of the paper knife, and that no one was nearer to it than about 12 feet. I reiterate that Eleanor had both hands occupied and that I was actually watching the girl and the countess when the paper knife was projected." As crazy as it is, that was just one of the many instances that Price observed during that entire case. He also brought others to, confirm his work and make sure that his work wasn't fraudulent in any sense. Some other cases that are definitely worth mentioning are his work with dark magic and firewalkers. A mystic by the name of Kurbush, sorry for probably butchering that name, was observed to be walking across hot coals by Price and shooting the apples off of people's heads blindfolded. Both feats were observed by Price and many others as both impressive and factual. Not only that, but Kuda was also known to be able to do many other things while blindfolded. You can look him up and see what his other feats are. I believe one of them includes being able to thread a needle in a closed wine barrel. Yeah, I don't know why it had to be a wine barrel. Maybe it was just that big. I don't know. Meanwhile, his work with the dark arts was known as the Brockton experiment. He conducted a black magic ritual within a cemetery in Germany. Preparing his ritual circle, he then led a goat into the center of this circle and attempted to transform the goat into a boy. In an astonishing act of magic, he was seen transforming the goat into nothing. It just stayed a goat. He had proven, or rather disproven, the existence of transcendental magic. It did attract a bunch of publicity, though. In a shorter, more mysterious case, the Society of Physical Research received a mysterious package from famous medium Joanna Southcott, and Price just had to investigate it. She claimed, and with heavy emphasis, that the package must only be opened in the presence of 24 bishops and in a need of absolute emergency. They found a horse pistol, dice, lottery cards, earrings, and a purse. While those findings might sound a bit underwhelming, they do say that the original is actually being held in the world's largest stolen and found, the British Museum. Now I can hear you. What about the talking mongoose? We want the talking mongoose. Before we get to that, it would make my heart so incredibly happy if you guys left a like on the video and subscribe for more spooky content like this, because your support and your love to this channel just makes me want to keep going on it even more so. And if we just have this exponential growth, then I'm taking you up there with me, baby. We're getting there together. Enough stalling, let's get into that talking mongoose. Having heard tales of this talking mongoose, in 1935, Price decided to finally sail to the Isle of Man off the coast of England. While on his way to the island, Price had some notable quotes from Geff to look over on his way there, such as, "I know who I am, but I shan't tell you. I'm a freak. I have hands, I have feet, and if you saw me, you'd faint. You'd be petrified, mummified, turned into stone, a pillar of salt." I think one of my favorite and most ridiculous quotes from Geff is, "I'm not evil. I could be if I wanted. You don't know what damage or harm I could do if I were roused. I could kill all of you, but I won't." While very captivating of a story as it is, upon further inspection of the house, it was noted that the house itself was one big echo chamber, with gaps between the walls acting as speaking tubes. As much as I would love for this to be real, the existence of a talking mongoose was debunked. Now, before we get to the final and most unbelievable case that Price has worked on, I'm going to mention just two short little honorable mentions. One of them being the case of a medium being able to control the entirety of the inside of the seance room with her feet, and only her feet. Yeah, I know, really weirdly impressive. Also, the case of the spirit photographer, where Price went to investigate this supposed medium who could take photos of the person and the spirit they were next to. Upon his investigation, Price just switched out the photograph, I guess, clips that you would have to load into cameras with ones of his own, secretly of course, and lo and behold, there was no ghost to be had in those photos. But upon further inspection, he just, I guess, preloaded the ghosts onto those little photograph clips, which is honestly pretty awesome. I'd pay like $1 or $2 to have, a picture of me with almost real looking ghost hung somewhere up in my house. But foot mediums and ghost pictures aside, I wanted to get to the most believable case that Price had in 1937. It came to Price's attention that there was a seance room in London that was able to materialize a 6-year-old girl named Rosalie. In preparation for Rosalie's materialization, he put flour around his chair to just make sure nobody was tampering with him or sneaking in, and he also put seals on each of the windows and doors to make sure that there was no outside intervention from people sneaking in. As the seance began, Price was dumbfounded when a 6-year-old little girl materialized seemingly out of nowhere in front of Price. He then conducted his experiments of taking her pulse and asking her some simple questions before she finally dematerialized and went. After this paranormal experience, Price checked all of his precautions that he had, and absolutely none of them were tampered with, according to Price and those who witnessed it. The absence of any tampering had Price completely convinced that this Rosalie materialization was in fact real, and what occurred in the seance room was not tampered with at all. This had Price so convinced that in 1948, after his passing, an Australian newspaper article was posted by Harry Price labeled, "I really saw a ghost." Unfortunately and expectedly, Price received a lot of backlash for his claim and was deemed incredible by the community. Having read and researched what I have about Harry Price, I, as well as I'm sure a few others, do believe in his claims, because if you think about it, the man was a expert amateur conjurer, magician, and he knew what was going up. He had his system. I mean, the man was friends with Harry Houdini. Like, even if it is hard to hear sometimes, I believe that skeptics are very important to the whole proving and disproving of paranormal events, because they set the bar for the burden of proof that people who investigate these things have to look for. I mean, hell, I didn't used to be a believer till I saw a ghost myself. But, I mean, despite that, even if a seance room was fake, I think I'd just love to go sit in on one of those and just kind of, like, feel the full, like, experience. There was one that they had at Not Scary Farm at one point, but really, really fun. Highly suggested if there is ever one. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed hearing about some of the fun cases that Harry Price worked on, feel free to leave a like down there below and show some love for this channel. And if you really enjoy it, please don't forget that there is a subscribe button down there for more fun and spooky content like this. And feel free to comment what your favorite case was or any paranormal experiences you may have had. And as usual, everybody, stay spooky. Bye-bye.